In the vast tapestry of human experience, we often overlook the subtle whispers of our bodies, dismissing them as mere inconveniences or physiological quirks. Yet, what if these seemingly mundane sensations carry profound spiritual significance? Today, we turn our attention to a sensation so common, so ubiquitous, that we rarely pause to consider its deeper implications. Itching. Itching, that persistent urge to scratch, that nagging discomfort that draws our attention to a specific part of our body. What if it's more than just a neurological response? What if it's a gateway to understanding the intricate connection between our physical form and our spiritual essence? To truly grasp the spiritual meaning of itching, we must first liberate ourselves from the narrow confines of materialistic thinking. We must be willing to see beyond the surface, beyond the skin and nerve endings, and into the realm of energy and consciousness that permeates all of existence. Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lessons. Consider for a moment, have you ever noticed that an itch often arises when your mind is elsewhere? When you're lost in thought, worry, or distraction? This is no coincidence. The itch serves as a call to presence, a gentle, or sometimes not so gentle, reminder to return to the here and now, to inhabit your body fully. In this light, itching becomes a spiritual practice in itself. Each itch is an invitation to mindfulness, a chance to break free from the endless stream of thoughts and reconnect with the physical reality of your existence. When you feel an itch, instead of automatically scratching it, pause. Observe the sensation without judgment. Where exactly is it located? How intense is it? Does it move or stay in one place? This simple act of observation often reveals a profound truth. The itch is not a fixed, solid thing, but a fluid, ever-changing experience. As you watch it with detached awareness, you may notice it shifting, intensifying, or even disappearing altogether. In this process, you're not just observing an itch, you're observing the nature of all phenomena, the impermanent, fluctuating nature of reality itself. But the spiritual significance of itching goes deeper still. In many esoteric traditions, different areas of the body correspond to different aspects of our psyche or energy system. An itch on your left palm might signify incoming abundance, while an itch on your right foot could indicate an impending journey. These associations, however, are less important than the underlying principle they point to. Our bodies are constantly communicating with us, sending signals about our internal state and our relationship with the world around us. The question then becomes, are we listening? Are we attuned to these subtle messages? Or are we drowning them out with the noise of our busy lives and chattering minds? Itching also serves as a powerful metaphor for desire and attachment. Just as we instinctively want to scratch an itch for immediate relief, we often seek quick fixes for our emotional and spiritual discomforts. We chase after pleasures, achievements, and possessions, hoping they'll satisfy the deep itch of existential longing. But just as scratching provides only temporary relief and often intensifies the itch, these external pursuits fail to address our core spiritual needs. What if, instead of constantly scratching the surface of life, we learn to sit with our discomfort? What if we allowed the itch of desire to be present without immediately reacting to it? This is the essence of many spiritual practices, not to eliminate desire, but to observe it, understand it, and ultimately transcend it. Consider the times when you've experienced an intense itch in a public situation where you couldn't scratch it, perhaps during a formal event or an important meeting. In those moments, you had no choice but to endure the sensation. And in that endurance, you might have discovered a capacity for equanimity that you didn't know you possessed. This capacity to be with discomfort without immediately seeking to alleviate it is a cornerstone of spiritual growth. It's the ability to face life's challenges, big and small, with grace and composure. The itch becomes a training ground for developing this skill, a micro-challenge that prepares us for larger tests of our spiritual mettle. But let's go even deeper. What is the nature of the entity that experiences the itch? Who or what is aware of the sensation? As you pay close attention, you might notice a curious fact. There is the sensation of itching, and there is the awareness of that sensation. These are not the same thing. The awareness remains constant, unchanging, while the itch comes and goes. This realization points to a fundamental truth about our nature. We are not our sensations, our thoughts, or our emotions. We are the awareness in which these experiences arise and subside. The itch, like all phenomena, appears in your consciousness and then disappears. But you, the consciousness itself, remain. This understanding has the power to revolutionize our relationship with all of life's experiences, not just itching. When we identify with the unchanging awareness rather than the changing contents of awareness, we find a deep peace that's unaffected by the ups and downs of daily life. But don't take this as an abstract philosophy. Test it for yourself. The next time you feel an itch, use it as an opportunity to explore this truth directly. Feel the sensation fully, but also notice the awareness that's perceiving it. Can you find a boundary between the two? Can you locate the exact point where the itch ends and the awareness begins? As you engage in this inquiry, you might find that the distinction between subject and object, between the perceiver and the perceived, begins to blur. This is not a conceptual understanding, but a direct experience of the non-dual nature of reality. The itch, in its humble way, becomes a portal to profound spiritual insight. Yet, we must be careful not to turn this into another form of spiritual materialism, another thing to achieve or experience. The beauty of using itching as a spiritual practice is precisely its ordinariness. It doesn't require special conditions or esoteric knowledge. It's available to everyone at any time. This democratization of spiritual practice is crucial in our modern world, where spirituality often becomes commodified and exclusive. The itch reminds us that the sacred is not separate from the mundane. It's not found only in temples or meditation retreats, but in the most common, everyday experiences of our lives. Consider how this understanding might transform your daily life. Every itch becomes an opportunity for practice. Every moment of discomfort a chance to deepen your awareness. The morning commute, the grocery store queue, the tedious meeting, all become rich fields for spiritual cultivation. But there's more to uncover about the spiritual meaning of itching. Have you ever noticed that itches often occur in patterns or cycles? Perhaps you frequently experience itching at a particular time of day, or in response to certain situations. These patterns are not random. They're meaningful data points, offering insights into the rhythms of your body and psyche. For instance, an itch that consistently appears when you're about to fall asleep might be your body's way of keeping you alert, perhaps because there's something you need to process before resting. An itch that arises when you're in the presence of certain people might be signaling a need to pay attention to those relationships. By tuning into these patterns, we develop a more nuanced understanding of our internal landscape. We become fluent in the language of our bodies, able to decipher the subtle messages it's constantly sending us. This body awareness is a crucial aspect of spiritual development, bridging the perceived gap between the physical and the spiritual. But what about chronic itching, the kind that persists despite our best efforts to alleviate it? From a spiritual perspective, chronic conditions often point to deep-seated patterns or beliefs that need attention. The persistent itch becomes a constant reminder, a physical manifestation of an inner tension or unresolved issue. In addressing chronic itching, we're called to go beyond surface-level solutions. While medical treatment may be necessary, true healing often requires us to look at the whole picture of our lives. What are we refusing to face? What change are we resisting? The itch, in its relentless presence, demands that we confront these questions. This holistic approach to healing aligns with many ancient wisdom traditions, which view health as a state of balance and harmony rather than merely the absence of symptoms. The itch, in this light, is not an enemy to be vanquished, but a messenger to be heard and understood. As we conclude this first part of our exploration, let's reflect on the profound implications of this perspective. If something as common as an itch can carry such spiritual significance, what other everyday experiences might we be overlooking? How might our lives transform if we approached each sensation, each moment, with this level of presence and inquiry? The itch, in its simplicity and ubiquity, offers us a constant reminder of the deeper currents running beneath the surface of our lives. It invites us to wake up, to pay attention, to dive beneath the surface of our habitual reactions and discover the vast ocean of awareness that lies beneath. In the next part of our discussion, we'll delve deeper into specific techniques for working with itching as a spiritual practice, explore its connection to energy centers in the body, and examine how different cultural and spiritual traditions have interpreted this common yet mysterious sensation. But for now, I invite you to simply notice. Notice the itches that arise in your daily life. Notice your reactions to them. And most importantly, notice the awareness in which all of this occurs. In this noticing lies the seed of profound transformation. Let's consider the energetic aspect of itching. In many spiritual traditions, the human body is understood not just as a physical entity, but as an energy system with various centers and channels. These energy centers, often referred to as chakras in Eastern traditions, are thought to correspond to different aspects of our being: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. When we experience an itch in a particular area of the body, it may be indicative of energetic activity or blockage in the corresponding chakra. For instance, an itch on the forehead might relate to the third eye chakra associated with intuition and insight. Rather than simply scratching it away, we might pause to consider, is there an insight trying to emerge? Am I resisting a truth that's becoming apparent? Similarly, an itch in the throat area could be connected to the throat chakra, which governs communication and self-expression. This might prompt us to reflect, is there something I need to express but am holding back? Am I fully speaking my truth? By approaching itching from this energetic perspective, we transform a mundane physical sensation into a tool for self-inquiry and spiritual alignment. Each itch becomes an opportunity to check in with ourselves, to attune to the subtle energies flowing through us, and to make adjustments where necessary. But we must be cautious here. It's all too easy to fall into the trap of overinterpretation, to see every itch as a sign or symbol that needs decoding. This approach can lead us away from direct experience and into a labyrinth of mental speculation. The spiritual significance of itching lies not in what we think about it, but in how we experience it. So how do we work with itching as a spiritual practice without getting lost in interpretation? The key lies in developing a quality of attention that's both focused and open, engaged yet non-reactive. This is the essence of mindfulness, a practice that's at the heart of many spiritual traditions. When you feel an itch, bring your full attention to it. Notice its exact location, its intensity, its quality. Is it sharp or dull? Constant or intermittent? As you observe, you might find that the itch changes or even disappears under the spotlight of your awareness. This is not the goal, but it's a common experience that reveals the fluid, impermanent nature of sensations. If the urge to scratch arises, notice that too. Can you feel the difference between the sensation of itching and the impulse to scratch? Can you let both be present without immediately acting on them? This is where the real spiritual work happens, in the space between stimulus and response. As you practice this, you might start to notice a subtle shift in your relationship to discomfort. Instead of immediately trying to eliminate it, you develop the capacity to be with it, to investigate it with curiosity rather than aversion. This skill, cultivated through something as simple as an itch, can profoundly transform how you relate to all of life's challenges. But let's go even deeper. As you pay close attention to the sensation of itching, you might notice something curious. The boundary between the itch and the rest of your body isn't as clear as you might have thought. Where exactly does the itch end and the non-itching begin? The more closely you look, the more this boundary seems to blur. This observation points to a fundamental truth about the nature of our experience. The separate, bounded self that we typically assume ourselves to be is more of a conceptual construct than a lived reality. When we pay very close attention, we find that our experience is more of a continuous, seamless flow of sensations, thoughts, and perceptions, with no clear dividing line between self and other. The itch, in its own humble way, invites us to recognize this truth. It challenges our usual way of relating to our bodies as solid, separate entities and opens up the possibility of a more fluid, interconnected sense of being. Consider how this understanding might change your relationship with your body and with the world around you. If there's no hard boundary between you and not you, how does that affect your sense of self? How does it influence your interactions with others and with your environment? This isn't just philosophical speculation. It has profound implications for how we live our lives. When we deeply recognize our interconnectedness, compassion arises naturally. The suffering of others is no longer something separate from us, but something we feel intimately connected to. But let's not get lost in abstraction. The beauty of using itching as a spiritual practice is that it grounds us in immediate, tangible experience. It's not about believing in interconnectedness as an idea, but about directly perceiving it in our moment-to-moment experience. So, how do we bring this understanding into our daily lives? One powerful practice is to extend the mindfulness we cultivate with itching to other sensations and experiences. When you feel warmth or coolness on your skin, can you approach it with the same quality of attention? When you experience emotions, joy, anger, sadness, can you observe them with the same non-reactive awareness? As you do this, you might start to notice that all experiences, pleasant and unpleasant, share certain qualities. They arise, persist for a time, and then pass away. They're fluid, changing from moment to moment. And most importantly, they're all appearing in the same field of awareness. This recognition can lead to a profound shift in how we relate to our experience. Instead of being caught up in the content of our experience, constantly trying to grasp pleasant sensations and avoid unpleasant ones, we can rest in the awareness that contains all experiences. This is the essence of many non-dual spiritual teachings. But again, this is not about achieving some special state or experience. It's about recognizing what's already here, in every moment. The itch, in its ordinariness and ubiquity, reminds us that the sacred is not separate from the mundane. It's right here, in the most common experiences of our lives.